In the late 18th century, the British developed a taste for tea. They imported both silk and tea from China. The British paid China in silver and gold coins for the imported tea. This began to affect the profits of the East India Company when tea became a popular drink in England. The British began to worry about their treasury getting depleted. They started searching for a commodity that they could trade with China in exchange for tea. Opium turned out to be such a commodity that had been introduced to the Chinese by the Portuguese. However, opium was being used in China only for medicinal purposes. Its trade had been banned by the Confucian rulers of China. They had also banned all foreign traders from trading in China, as they feared that the foreign traders might meddle in local politics and try to upturn power. The British then started an illegal trade of opium in China. They smuggled opium into China through their seaports and got it sold through some local agents. However, opium was not grown in England. It was grown in India. It was the poor peasants of Bengal who grew the opium that the British exported to China. However, the poor peasants of Bengal were far from happy to grow opium for the British. This was due to the constraints that they faced while growing opium. For example, the opium crop has to be grown on the best land available and provided good manure. The peasants earlier reserved the fertile land for cultivating pulses, but now they were forced to cultivate pulses on inferior land where harvests were poor and uncertain. Further, opium is a delicate plant that needs a lot of care and nurturing during cultivation. Therefore, the peasants found no time for their own crops. Moreover, most peasants had to pay high rents to the landlords for the land as they did not own any land. The British, therefore, appointed agents who advanced money to the rich landlords, who in turn gave the money to the peasants as loans. The peasants were now forced to grow only opium on the land and hand over the produce to the landlord, from where it ultimately reached the British. The British tried to make a win-win situation by paying low rates to the peasants and selling the opium to the Chinese at a higher rate, thus increasing their profit margins further. The peasants tried to resist this exploitation in many ways. Some of them refused to take advances and demanded higher rates. Some even refused to grow opium and started cultivating potatoes and sugarcane. There were others who sold off the opium produced by them at higher rates to traveling traders known as pikers. Very soon, the monopoly of the British over growing opium was also broken, when states like Rajasthan, which were not under British rule, started growing opium and exporting it to China. The British not only exploited Indian opium peasants, but also spread smuggling of opium in China.